It's Sunday, so that means it's Single Sunday time. This is where we end up taking our single Sundays that we picked up this week from our poll list over at our local comic book shop and be able to rank them, tell you what we ended up thinking about our poll list, what we're adding, what we're taking away, and also take a few flyers along the way. If you're curious on what is a poll list, this is where you can end up polling single issues that you end up wanting. These are books that you're interested into that your comic book shop could be pulling aside for you, making sure that you end up getting that weekly. And it's a good way of them guaranteeing that they, have a sale that's going on and you're also getting your books that you're wanting. So without further ado, let's go through what we ended up picking up this week. So we took one flyer. What was that flyer? Well, it was Godzilla versus Kansas City. This has 4 different stories that's inside this, breaking down different stories that goes along with it. And it's a one-shot, so it's a one and done. So it felt perfect to be able to pick up a flyer. And obviously that art right here was screaming at me to be able to pick it up. And it was okay. It was nothing like this world-shattering or anything like that. Biggest thing that I wanted was a barbecue story that'll be on there. Well, because it's from Kansas City. So, Kansas City, known for the barbecue. So, I wasn't depressed. Because in the last story, it does talk about a little bit of barbecue. Alright. So, that's the flyers that we ended up picking up. Now, let's go into the books that we have. We have 1, 2, and 3 books this week. So, what does that mean? That means we have a top 3 books. So, going right into the sauce of number 3 is going to end up being Thundercats issue number 20. This has a little bit more of a story between Mum-Ra and Jaga. That's right, Jaga. We end up finding out a little bit more of what their connection is with one another. And I honestly feel like this was Mum-Ra looked like a little Gollum scenario where you end up having an interesting background forming who that person ends up becoming. Coming at number 2 is probably the most controversial book that we've had this week and possibly for the month. That would be Absolute Batman, the annual, number 1. So this is by DWJ or Diana Warner Johnson. This has 2 different stories in there. And the first story is probably the most controversial one that we end up having a bunch of activities that end up happening and going over and a bunch of different, I want to say cult kind of the scenario that you end up having. It had a very good development, also had a lot of action that flows right into the DWJ doing the art for that part of the story. The second story I don't think is by him for the art wise, but it's an alright story. It was a thought-provoking, and honestly I had some fun with it. So that is number 2. The number 1 book is, I didn't even realize it was coming out this week. It was one of those that you went to the store and you're like, I have it on my pull, and then all of a sudden it's there and it's like, oh, hi, nice little piece of candy. So what is that? Well, that is Sitara Roadbreaker number 1, which I think is a one-shot, I want to say. But this had a lot of development and additions to the character of Sitara. If you follow Thundercats, you know Sitara has a 6th sense, and this talks about the development of the 6th sense and has an activity that puts Thundera, or sets the motion for Thundera's doom. If you're interested with how that's going over with it, pick up Sitara Worldbreaker number 1. Awesome development, awesome additions to the character. I love what's going on with this character, with Thundercats in general. So that covers the pull list, but I want to also put out an idea or a feeler for a new idea that I'm playing out. If this ends up going to go on, we'll end up rolling it out in December. So what I want to do is I'll read along. We'll set up a book where I go live stream and we can end up talking about that book and breaking down certain segments of the book. Where it's not going to be all read the entire book by this time. It's going to be like 5 issues or something like that. It would be the game plan. And if you guys are interested into that, put a comment down in the comments and we'll get going over with it and we'll try making that a thing. What I'm leaning towards is putting out a few books as the ones that we could rate with. Book series I'm very interested in doing this with would be called Ed Brubaker's and Sean Phillips' Criminal. I've heard really good things, and it has really good access that you can end up either going to like Hoopla, you can pick up the deluxes. That's going to be the most important part, is that we'll be following the 3 different deluxes, and then we'll end up going over with that. So if that's something you're interested into, put it down in the comments down below. So with that said, if you're liking the content we're putting out, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon to be notified whenever we come off new content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.